welcome back to my channel, Bipolar Badass. My name is Amber, for those of you who did not get the introduction. And today's topic is going to be bipolar symptoms. Now, as a little side note, just know that everybody experiences bipolar disorder differently. This is just a group of like generic symptoms that your doctor is going to ask about or look for in order to give you a diagnosis. I'm going to start with depression, and we'll just continue through there. And there are some symptoms that happen in both episodes. So, for starters, with depression, it's, the obvious ones. You feel sad and hopeless. Somebody who's experiencing a depression episode will very likely isolate themselves or flat out ghost people in their lives. Excessive sleep is definitely one of them. I know when I hit my depressed episode, immediately I want to go in my bed. Also, another one is chronic aches and pains with no actual cause. You may have a little bump on your shin, and suddenly when you're depressed, that little bump feels like somebody took a baseball bat to your legs. Everything is exaggerated as far as physical pain goes, so that is very real, and it may make you feel crazy when the doctor says nothing is wrong with your shin, it's just a bruise, it's not broken. But our brains play that trick on us, and they make that tiny physical pain so much more drastic. Another pretty generic symptom of major depression is missed work. Guys, I know I have had a very hard time waking up for work. Where I can't function with the general public today. I am just sad, and like everything around me sucks, and I become this total pessimist, which is a sign of my depression. Another one that goes in line with excess sleep is chronic fatigue. You may not necessarily be tired, but your body is exhausted. You could have just walked outside to throw the trash in the can, and that made you feel like you ran a marathon. Your body is fatigued. That's why instinctively, when my depression episode hits, I go lie down, because everything is just exhausted for no reason other than my brain telling me it is. Another one that plays into there is as sort of a generic side effect, that would be, or a symptom, that would be very low self-esteem. That plays in with pessimism and all of the other ones. You just don't feel great about yourself. There's no reason to live, which leads me into suicidal thoughts. That happens. And if you are having those kind of thoughts, reach out to somebody, because it's part of your mood disorder. It's not real. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of how I cope with depression. I don't experience that as much as I do mania, but one of the biggest things that helps me, that I try to do when I realize I'm having a depressed state, is nap, obviously, because y'all have seen in my other videos, like immediately when that depressed episode comes on, I'm in bed. Like, I isolate myself from everybody. Don't call me, don't text me, don't Facebook message me, nothing. I just want to be alone. When I have those bouts of depression, outside of taking a nap, if I wake up depressed, the first thing I do is make my bed. If I don't accomplish anything at all that day, my bed is made, which is a baby step for me. Everything is going to resume as normal, and my bed is made. I have one tiny aspect of my life together. I made my bed. And then typically following that, I'll hop in the shower and I'll meditate while I'm in the shower. And that part of meditation, I just envision that I'm cleansing all of these negative thoughts and feelings away from my body. And that seems to help me a little bit when it does get to the point of suicidal thoughts. I look around for 10 things, 10 reasons to be alive. If I only get 3, I got 3, but 10 is my goal. Whether it be I have a dog at home that I need to take care of. Obviously, my kids need me here. One of the smaller ones, like, I need to live so that I can watch my kids pick the garden that we put together. And even if it gets difficult to do that, reach out. Matter of fact, just reach out regardless. If the thought crosses your mind, I want you to immediately text somebody in your support group and let them know. If it takes having your best friend come over and sit down with you for 5 hours in silence, then that's what it takes. That's actively fighting your disorder. So your brain is trying to make you feel like everything sucks and you're just so exhausted and you're not good enough at your job or you're not a good enough parent. All of those feelings are very real to us, but we need to challenge them. If I feel like I am inadequate as a mother, I ask my kids, what do you love about me? And they spew off some of the most incredible things that for some reason my brain made me forget. It's just a reminder. Or, I'm not a good enough friend. I hit my friend up. So what do you love about me? Why are we friends? And they just encourage you. Next, we're going to talk a little bit more about mania. And that's kind of like the one that I'm pretty down packed with because I experience it more often than not. Insomnia is typically my first sign that I am going into a manic episode. Not so much insomnia as it is like, I don't need 8 hours of sleep. I only need 3. And I still feel energized. Or I wake up at 4 a.m. ready to start my day. I want a cup of coffee and I'm good to go. Another one, this is one that I've said repeatedly in my other videos, is racing thoughts. Racing thoughts typically lead to fast speech, which then leads to you stumbling over your words and stuttering. That's a very, very prominent side effect symptom that I have. I do talk rapidly like I am right now, but I also stutter when it's really bad. It becomes disabling because you have the inability to stay on a single topic. Your brain is just fume shooting ideas out and you want to touch on all of them at one time. And that's why I take little notes when I'm doing a video while I'm manic. I have a topic to stay on. You're easily distracted. Basically, manic episodes are like ADHD on steroids. You can't stay on one topic. You get distracted by walking from your bedroom to the kitchen. You see 3,000 things in your house that needs to be done, and it needs to be done right now. So fine, you're cleaning the living room, but then you notice something in the bedroom needs to be picked up, so you start on that. Then you realize the kitchen floor needs to be mopped, so you mop that, but then you go back to the bedroom, and you didn't even finish the task there. It's a horrible, like excessively exhausting. That's typically why you burn yourself out and then you fall back into depression. That's typically, what causes you to cycle into depression. At least for me it is. I burn myself out when I'm manic. And then my body just shuts down and says, nope, it's time to go to bed. It's time to lay down. And while I'm at it, I'm going to shoot all these negative thoughts in your head because you couldn't complete a single task today. Increased physical activity, which goes along the line of that. I tend to want to go out and run, or I want to build something, or anything that's like physically exhausting for me. I work out so much when I am manic. I really do. And I end up sore the next day. And then, when depression hits, that soreness turns into feeling like a broken bone, feeling like a torn muscle. Another side effect would be hypersexuality. You make impulsive, erratic behaviors to get yourself off. That's not something I have too much experience with, to be honest, but I have felt it, as I'm sure most of you have. Impulsive behaviors goes in with that. most recently, I was manic one day, last Friday actually, and I text my mom, hey, can we go visit? She lives almost 13 hours away from me. And she said, yeah, sure. So I packed up and we took a 12-hour plus trip all the way to the other side of Texas from Louisiana. I don't regret it at all by any stretch of the imagination. I haven't visited my mom's house since she's moved over just about a year ago. Plus, it was a nice little vacation for me and the kids, but most people, or you in your right mind, would have taken a few days to plan this. You would have made sure everything was lined up, whereas I planned this in a couple of hours. Just big impulsive behaviors. Or I'll wake up and say, I want to build a garden today. I want my kids to have a garden. So let's go to Lowe's and spend however much it costs to get everything we need to have a garden in our backyard. And we're going to work in the sun until we can't no more because we want it done. Also, with episodes of mania, you tend to have a very large amount of self-esteem. Like, you are euphoric about yourself. You look great. You feel great. You want to get dressed up because you are a dominant woman or a dominant man, and everybody needs to know that because you are amazing and you are the shit. How about carry that over with you when those depression stages come? Just remember, like yesterday, I was a total badass, and carry that with you, guys. That's another thing I do when I'm depressed. I put on makeup and I fix my hair and I dress nice. My brain might be telling me that I have nothing to live for or I've gained so much weight, but guess what? My outlook is about to be on point, okay? Now, my daughter's in here. So now I'm gonna go on to the few symptoms that kind of reach both your depressed and manic episodes. The first one is change in appetite. I know for sure when I am manic, I don't need food. Okay, I'm 100% good with the little chemicals in my brain that's feeding me all these feel-good emotions. And when I'm depressed, it'll go both ways. Like, sometimes I just want to eat like a sloth. I want anything in front of me and I need all this comfort food. And then there's other times where I'm so nauseous I can't put food to my mouth. Another one that touches on both of them is irritability and agitation. That's something I rarely experience, but when I do, it's alarming for me.
Whoa.
When I'm manic and go into an irritability phase, I'm combative. I am always on guard and I got something to say to whatever it is you have to say. Now, when I'm depressed, I'm irritable and I just want to be alone. I turn into a complete extrovert. Another one that kind of sinks onto both of them is the use of alcohol or drugs. When you're manic, you want to have a good time, and that's what they're there for. But when you're depressed, you need to numb yourself, and you turn to those two, one of those two. Thankfully, I was able to get sober, and my episodes have been better and easier to manage since then. But I do find myself when I'm manic craving a drink, and it's difficult to stay on top of myself. Like, no, you went this long without it, you don't need it. It's not going to make you feel better. You're not going to feel like Superman. You're not going to numb your pain that you feel. It's just not worth it for me, at least. Because there is a very high percentage of people with bipolar disorder who also have an addiction. And I refuse to be part of that statistic. I don't want it. I don't need it. And that's that. Now, managing some of my mania and getting through it, I try to find productive things to do, not destructive. So productively, I will spring clean all day long. It gets the house done and it's nice and clean for when the depression sets in and I don't want to do anything. I try to stay away from destructive behaviors. Another symptom of mania that I want to throw in there is elevated feelings of love. I've seen and read and even done it myself, have started a relationship in a manic state, and everything just seemed like sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Everything was amazing. This person was the one. And then I come down from mania and realize I can't fucking stand his guts. Okay? Excuse my language. Don't worry. My daughter just walked out. So, but it happens. And it's important to be aware and figure out when you're going through mania and when you're going through depression. So when you're going through mania, don't make any promises. Don't go shopping. I got this advice from a video that I watched on YouTube. I can't exactly remember which one it is, but when it comes to purchases, for every $100 that something cost, wait a week. If you still want it in a week, okay. But 9 times out of 10, you're not. 9 times out of 10, that was just an erratic, impulsive behavior in your brain. And if your mania tends to last much longer than that, say wait a month. If it's $100, I'm going to wait a month. So however long you need to keep yourself in check. I also kind of got the little habit of giving my credit cards to my best friend when I'm manic. Because I struggle with that urge to go shopping or to build something huge, but it's going to cost a couple $100 and I don't have the extra $100 to spend. So that's a good coping mechanism if that's one of your biggest struggles when you're manic. Another one that helps me when I'm manic, if I'm building something or cleaning something, I set alarms on my phone so that I have time to take a little break, to take a time for my body to rejuvenate. Drink, for me it's body armor. I'll drink the hydration body armor. But rest, it's important. It's not healthy for you to spend 9 hours building something without a break in the heat. Just give yourself that time to recuperate. Then go back to it. I'm trying to think of like other coping mechanisms that I use. When I'm manic, I like to paint. Love it. I'm so creative. And I just channel that energy into making cool stuff, into making murals and paintings, and just put all my artistic abilities into that. Instead of destructive behavior like I used to have when I drank. I mean, if I would get manic, I was at the bar that night if I didn't have my kids. I was in the mall buying new shoes that I don't need, or making promises to people that I can do this, and this. And while I'm manic, yes, I can. But if I cycle back into depression, I let a lot of people down. And that's a terrible feeling. And that does make your depression worse. So make it a point to not make promises. Don't take on the extra workload. Don't tell your boss, sure, I'll work 7 days a week this week. I don't have anything else going on. And then your day 7 comes and you're depressed and you don't even want your job. So setting those boundaries to yourself when you're in a lucid state of mind, and adhering to them when you're not. Adhering to them when you are manic or when you are depressed. Stick to your guidelines and stick to your boundaries. And also let family and friends know, like, this is my stopping point. I can't do it right now. I need to take care of myself. When you're depressed, text a therapist. If you have a therapist, text her or him and let them know, like, hey, I'm feeling this type of way and I know it's just my depression, but what can I do to help me get out of it? Mine typically says, start an art project. Even if you don't want to, start it. And by the time you're halfway done with it, I promise you'll be manic about that. So all of that kind of basically describes what bipolar disorder is. It's ups and downs. And every now and again, you'll get lucky enough to see yourself in the middle. I'm not too sure there's much other ones. If you experience other symptoms that you would like me to talk about or even research, because I'm sure you experience things much differently than I do.
Okay.
For example, the shopping thing, impulsive shopping, I was unaware that that was a symptom of bipolar disorder. I thought I was just a shopaholic. I mean, I don't really blow much money when I'm shopping because I'm very frugal for the most part. When I'm manic, that kind of goes down the drain a little bit. But still, that impulse to shop, I really had no idea that that was a symptom. Anything impulsive is a symptom. You know, I'm not typically an impulsive person. I like to think things through very thoroughly and consider all options. So I hope this helped you guys understand a little bit more about your disorder. Go ahead, like my page, subscribe to it, and drop a comment below if you've got your own set of unique symptoms for either mania or depression. Let me know, guys, and thank you for stopping by.